Hey everyone, it's Raphael from XX Raphael Productions, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness. Alright, so since this movie is still very new, I'm going to add a spoiler warning just in case, because I will get into the plot details and also a lot of cameos that you might have not expected. Now that we are past the spoiler warning, let's get right to it. So the director of this movie is Sam Raimi, so I am a fan of the original Spider-Man trilogy with, Tobey Maguire, so I've seen all three of them. And yes, I'm a fan of Spider-Man 3 as well, so I know many people were not, they thought that the movie was weaker than the other two, but despite its flaws, I still liked it because Sam Raimi did the best at what he was given, even with Sony kind of meddling in between what he originally wanted, so because of that, I was excited to see Multiverse of Madness, and especially with the title itself being pretty insane, because with No Way Home, they have pretty much opened up endless opportunities for future movies with Marvel, because they have already established that the Tobey Maguire movies along with the Andrew Garfield movies are all now part of the MCU continuity. So now, with the actual movie that came out though, the Multiverse of Madness, I would say that they kind of played it safe, in my opinion. So it wasn't really the madness that I was really expecting. Like, I was expecting a whole bunch of other crazy stuff, but it feels like they kind of played it safe throughout this movie. And now that doesn't mean that I'm saying that it was very I'm not saying it was terrible, but I'm just saying that they could have done a lot more with the whole multiversal concept. There is one thing that I wanted to mention right away. I want to get this out of the way first. It's the power level inconsistencies with Doctor Strange, alright? So, I've already noticed this from No Way Home, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it again for this review. If think back to Infinity War when Thanos was able... when Doctor Strange was able to take on Thanos with 4 Infinity Stones. In this movie, he kind of struggles with the one-eyed tentacle monster that we see in the trailer. So it's near the beginning of the movie that this fight scene occurs, and Doctor Strange and Wong kind of have a hard time bringing it down. So that scene stood out to me because I was thinking to myself that Doctor Strange's power levels in the last 3 movies have been quite inconsistent. In No Way Home, this is also something that stood out to me, but at least we could make that excuse that he was simply not trying to kill Peter Parker, obviously. He was just trying to get the box away from him. So I guess you could kind of make that point as to that Doctor Strange didn't expect Spider-Man to outsmart him in the mirror dimension, but still. In this movie, though, it was a lot less excusable, and that's just something I wanted to point out in this movie, alright? So, when it comes to the acting for our characters here in the movie, I really have no complaints overall, especially Elizabeth Olsen did a terrific job as the evil Scarlet Witch in this movie, which, yeah, spoiler alert, Wanda is the main villain of this movie, and the actress does a terrific job, and it's even, Benedict as Doctor Strange, again, I really have no problems with the acting throughout the movie, and really, the problems are really just either the scripts or the dialogue or certain aspects of the plot. But when it comes to the acting itself, there really is no problem with that, alright? So now let's move on to the topic about the cameos. There were a whole bunch of cameos in this movie as well. Now, if you've seen the trailers already, I'm sure Professor X was not a surprise at all, so seeing him there was not a surprise, but I was very shocked when I saw Reed Richards in this movie, from the Fantastic Four. That was something that I was not expecting. I totally lost it. And then we also had some other ones, we had the Captain Marvel of this universe, and at the same time we had Captain Carter, who was the Captain America of this universe. So that was Peggy Carter as Captain America in this movie. So these groups, these individuals, they made up the Illuminati, as explained by Mordo, as well as Mordo's in this movie. And I would say though that I was pretty hyped up initially because the way where they were describing Scarlet Witch when Doctor Strange is trying to warn about them. So this is around the middle of the movie. Doctor Strange is trying to warn about Scarlet Witch, Wanda, because she's evil in this movie. She's the main villain of this movie, and she was corrupted by the Darkhold, and she does snap out of it later and destroys it, but and her fate is kind of, you know, unknown right now, but I'm sure she's not dead. You know, they don't just kill a character as big as Wanda in the MCU that easily, so I'm sure she'll return in future movies. All I want to say though is don't get too excited, because the Illuminati are all killed off in pretty unsatisfying ways, okay? So, like I'm saying, like the best parts were the initial like cameos, but then when they actually started to do the action sequences, it was kind of a letdown. Okay? First one to die was Black Bolt in a pretty shocking way. I'll add, it was pretty brutal the way he was killed off. Then later on it was Reed Richards. He was killed as well by Wanda, and then the last ones left were I guess it was Captain Carter and it was Captain Marvel. So those two put a better fight than the other two did, but still they were killed off. And then it was Professor X's turn to get killed, and that was pretty much it for them. So yeah. And one thing I'd like to note is that with Reed being hyped up as one of the brightest minds of that universe, him giving away Black Bolt's ability just like that was surprisingly dumb, so just wanted to put that out there. Like I'm saying before though, I was kind of worried that they would do the cameo thing again, and then kind of like hype them up and then have them not like live up to their full potential. But I know that they will probably, like, this is a different universe, so I'm sure they can always introduce like the main universe's version of these characters. But still, when they were introduced though, the hype was unreal, but then it was just like they kind of did the bare minimum of what they could have done with these awesome characters. I'm just saying that right now, not to get too excited, just in case you're one of those people who have not seen the movie but have heard about the cameos, for example. Just don't get your hopes too high about them, because they get killed off anyway, and they really amount to nothing except for kind of teasing that the future versions of these characters will return anyway. So yeah, so then we move on to the next scene when Doctor Strange, America, and Christine were all kind of running away from Scarlet Witch, and they do like some nice camera work here from Sam Raimi. It's like I said before, it's like Sam Raimi's directing kind of shines in many scenes of the movie, and Scarlet Witch is chasing after them, and we see this kind of like, you can see the camera work and everything. It's very Raimi style, like directing. But there's this one part when they acted kind of stupid, when Scarlet Witch is blasting through the blast doors pretty easily, so she does this about 2 to 3 times, and then there is a scene when the next blast door closes and then nothing happens for a few minutes. Why would you just stand there and watch like fools when you've seen what Scarlet Witch is capable of, and you've seen just how brutal she is in the movie? She just killed off the Illuminati like a couple minutes ago, so why would you just stop and wait and freeze and do nothing and then give her the opportunity to jump scare you? It's just like, that scene just kind of irked me a little bit, because they were already aware of her capabilities, and yet they just stopped and watched. I guess that's one thing that, I know why they did it though. They just wanted to kind of set up that jump scare that was about to happen. Like, I would say though the jump scare was kind of weak, so I guess that was amounting to nothing overall. And now the next thing I wanted to talk about is that I only found this out actually after the movie, where apparently it's Sam Raimi did not watch WandaVision, so like there were some complaints about Wanda's character arc being ruined from WandaVision when transitioning to Multiverse of Madness, but I haven't actually seen WandaVision either, so it's kind of like I can't really make my judgment whether that's true or not. So I'm gonna actually watch WandaVision sometime next week, and then kind of compare that to Multiverse of Madness to see if what people were saying about it being inconsistent is true. So just for now, I'm gonna hold off on commenting about Wanda's character arc, and let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, this somewhere near the end of the movie. America Chavez's character herself, like I didn't really care too much for her. Like I didn't hate the character or anything like that, but I was mostly indifferent towards her character. And then there's around the time when it was near the final fight around like Zombie Strange versus Wanda, which was also kind of anticlimactic. I actually, now that I think about it, it was actually a bit anticlimactic. They could have done a lot more with the amount of crazy stuff that they usually do for Doctor Strange's movies. So America doesn't really do too much in the entire movie, but then there is this eye-rolling worthy moment when Strange kind of gives the whole believe in yourself pep talk, and then suddenly she has no problems controlling her powers. Like, I just thought that was just way too convenient, and I wasn't buying it. There were some nice action scenes though, before that, when you kind of see them doing the, the musical note fight. I know some people thought that was pretty dumb, but I thought that that was kind of original for a change, so I thought, okay, I'm okay with that, I'll allow it. Like, this is a comic book movie, so I guess something like that can suffice. Like, I didn't think it was as corny as people were saying, but like, I would say that that part was okay. So I would say it's mostly the final battle overall, though, that they could have improved on. But like, still, because you know what I'm saying, it's called the Multiverse of Madness, so with that much potential, Marvel could have tapped into a lot of, like, they could have done a lot of different things that could have made this movie stand out even more from the usual MCU flicks. That's one thing that I wish that they expanded on, but like, Sam Raimi did do his best here. I could tell, like, I'm sure they kind of meddled with his vision, just like in Spider-Man 3 with the Sony drama, but still, like, you could just tell Sam Raimi's style definitely saved some scenes of the movie that would have been pretty bad otherwise. Now, the visual effects, they were pretty cool, like, the overall throughout the movie, but there's one thing I'd like to mention, and that is somewhere, I think it was actually right before the credits, when Doctor Strange's third eye was revealed. I nearly burst out laughing at how badly that looked, because, compared to the rest of the movie, it was just not up to par, that effect. Like, I'm sure that that was a fluke, because I know the rest of the movie had good CGI, so I don't know what went wrong at that scene, but hopefully for the next Doctor Strange movie, if they do decide to proceed again with that look, I would say that I hope that they fix the CGI for that particular part, alright? Like, for the next movie. So as for Wanda in the Scarlet Witch, as for her character, well, obviously, she's not dead. Like, I'm sure that they wouldn't kill her off just like that. So what I'm trying to say here is that if she's still alive, well, we have to deal with the fact that she basically killed a Doctor Strange variant, then massacred a whole bunch of sorcerers sometime near the beginning of the movie, then tried to abduct the two children, and then also we had all the events of WandaVision, which I heard about. Like I said before, I haven't seen WandaVision, but I know a couple of things that might have happened in it, so it'll be very interesting to see how she will do a redemption arc throughout the next few MCU movies. Like, I mean, she definitely did a lot of bad things in this movie, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they will do with the character. I guess that's one thing to look forward to. But I'm sure that will take a while, especially after everything Wanda has done throughout the movie. So to recap, the best parts of this movie were the acting, the special effects, and the fighting scenes. And the parts that I wish the movie did better on were Scarlet Witch's motives, are the cameos not being wasted, and also the madness aspect, which is underwhelming. So, like I was saying sometime earlier in the review, I talked about how with the title Multiverse of Madness, I was expecting a whole, like, crazy adventure throughout the multiverse, but like I was saying, that they kind of played it safe, and I wish that they kind of did more with the madness aspect, with the way the movie was originally hyped up to be. Like a crazy, mad multiversal adventure, like that would have been a lot more interesting. But still, for what we got, it's not really what we did get that I'm complaining about, it's more of what we did not get that I was trying to emphasize, okay? So I'm just gonna say now that the final rating of this movie is a 6 out of 10, because there were a lot of good moments, but there were also a lot of moments that hurt the movie overall. So go ahead and comment down below what you guys thought about the movie, and I'm thinking that my rating could change if I watch WandaVision and get more context about Wanda's whole character arc before this movie started. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below if you agreed or disagreed with my final rating. Like I was saying, it's not a bad movie, so that's why I'm giving it a 6. It would have been lower if not for Sam Raimi's awesome directing in some scenes that made it seem better than it is. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I will see you soon.